Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update. And wish you all a wonderful week. Despite the current sentiment in the cryptocurrency space, it is shit, to put it bluntly. However, brighter days are ahead of us. I truly believe that. And everybody wants those kind of insane multiples that the cryptocurrency space has to offer, but nobody is really willing to endure the road or the path that gets you there. And that's what we're going to be doing in this video partly towards the end. We'll get through some news, including what's happening with FTX, Google News. They're looking to sort of enable the Web3 space through potential wallet integrations, et cetera, et cetera. This news is on the back end of Bitcoin predominantly, but it will transpire to the broader space. And then, of course, Bank of Australia have lowered rates for the first time, I think, in 4 years. And then we're going to get on to actually the path to get to those insane multiples in the cryptocurrency space. And in doing that, it very much normalizes what's happening with many of your altcoins out there right now. If you look at Ethereum, it went from $8 billion to $500 billion in terms of market cap. And in that journey from, and I think we were buying in the hundreds, potentially sub dollar range, there was multiple 30, 40, 50% pullbacks that will show you in the road to getting to that broader multiple that it gives you out of a bull market. And people aren't willing to hold those pullbacks, yet they all want those returns. And that's not how this space works. And then we'll also link that to the kind of broader context of where this space is heading. I truly do believe we've got brighter days ahead of us, guys. I think that's technically signaled. You've just got to endure the kind of volatility that is just inherent with this space. Let's kick some things off with a little bit of news. Google explores Bitcoin wallet enhancements. Now, this is interesting because, and this is partly why the crypto space is so volatile, it hasn't been enabled yet by kind of the real world, broadly. Google is essentially, or Google's Web3 specialist Kyle Song has indicated that the company is exploring methods to reduce entry barriers for Web3 users to engage with Bitcoin. This will extend more broadly to the crypto space. And think about how impactful this technology is. There's going to need to be this sort of enabling, and we're starting to see this. So this exploration includes improving Bitcoin wallet functionalities, potentially allowing users to access these wallets with Google accounts. While this news excites the crypto community, it represents Google's interest in blockchain technology as part of broader tech trends rather than an endorsement of Bitcoin specifically. Absolutely. And actually Google, on the Hedera Governing Council, they run nodes or have tentacles in actually most blockchains. So they are interested in this. A lot of these companies just can't come out and say it publicly. But if you sort of follow the footprints in the sands, you'll see. Of course, we've reported on this quite a lot in the past couple of days. FTX repayments are starting today. I assume that's going to be largely centered around America waking up, which is happening as we're speaking. This was a bit of a meme. I don't know how true this is. It talks about if you had one Bitcoin, you'll get 18K. If you had one Sol, you'll get $15. Meanwhile, Ethereum is basically the same price. It was a little bit lower than where it is today. I will say that in its defense. And then we got some news out of the no CNBC. I don't want to pay £149 a month for your product or whatever it is you have to offer the Pro. Australia's central bank cut rates for the first time in more than 4 years. Flags economic uncertainties. So I do think we're going into a general easing cycle. I'm talking about the balance sheet. I'm talking about in terms of monetary policy being restrictive. And I will do, I think, a larger video on that in regards to my thoughts on the dollar, what that's signaling and what that means for the markets and how this kind of aligns with broadly what we think is to come. Certainly, we looked at it technically through the lens of Bitcoin, the totals, et cetera, et cetera. It truly all adds up. It's frustrating because with these kind of pullbacks that we're seeing, people just have had enough, I think, at the moment of being an investor in the crypto space. I understand it. You know, I've been here. 2016 was when I sort of invested first in the crypto space, but actually had heard about Bitcoin through the days of Silk Road. Some very funny stories on the back end of that. But I understand the frustration. It's always like this, guys. There's nothing new to what we're currently going through, altcoins being altcoins. Let's talk about altcoins and what happens to them in bull markets and how they actually produce the kind of returns that everybody's here for, but nobody's willing to kind of endure the volatility that comes with that. This is Cardano. This is something that personally I was buying in the cents last bull market. It didn't do 100x for me. It was just shy, but this did from its bottom on the back end of the 19 crash in March 2020, 160x. It's in a few hundred million market cap. It went to nearly 100 billion. And I think we're going to have altcoins that are going to do a similar thing. But the road to getting that kind of multiple was filled with many 30, 40, 50% pullbacks, like what you're probably experiencing for some of your altcoins right now. And they have similar market caps and they're on a similar trajectory. The important thing is, and we teach phase analysis, you guys will all be aware, this is phase one based, the breakout, the retest, which is where many of your altcoins are now, and then you've got this broader continuation. And the pullbacks are even aligning with that. So if you want those kind of insane multiples, and this is the last bull market, remember, you know, you've got to be able to stomach or endure what comes with it. And to think you can time every top and bottom of local highs and or high highs and lows in an uptrend is, I think, naive. I personally can't do it, and I've dedicated my life to this in the forms of technical analysis. Really, I'm just interested in the bigger trend and the bigger multiple. And I think despite being at the kind of, I'm not going to say it's the peak of this pullback, but deep into it, certainly altcoins losing a lot of ground on Bitcoin's kind of weakness and lack of anything, I still have a portfolio where 70% of it is still hundreds of percent up. And we want you guys on board with that journey. Do become a Patreon. Of course, we speak about many of those coins on a pretty much a daily basis. But this is the path that you have as a crypto investor. Can you stomach that? This is Ethereum. It went from, let's say, $8 billion in market cap, which is where something like HBAR is today, or XLM or some of these others, to $500 billion. I think they've got a similar journey ahead of them, and that's going to be enabled. Seeing a little bit of dollar strength today, which is interesting. I've just noticed that. But I think there's a broader trajectory for the dollar. But this did around about 60x, depending on where you want to take it from. Again, initial breakout, retest, and then broad continuation into phase two. We can talk about this all day long. We're seeing this for altcoins across the board. We gave you 10 over the past couple of days. Those of you that watch those videos will know exactly what I'm talking about. But look at the kind of road to glory that you had for Ethereum. Your altcoins are going to go through the exact same thing. Some of them are significantly smaller than Ethereum was here and will likely endure more volatility on the back end of all of that. But I also want to say that not only do altcoins look great, the space as a whole looks great. It's just broken out into all-time highs. It's having a bit of consolidation. DAX just made our big target, by the way, that we were predicting from down here. Just like we're predicting and using the same methods for Bitcoin and crypto today. But you can see this kind of consolidation after you broke out. Bitcoin going through the same thing. Nvidia is a great example, probably the best example, really. You know, you can see this kind of breakout, consolidation before broader continuation, because you're now in price discovery. You don't have resistance ahead of you for Bitcoin. And the total market cap, I think, looks a lot more like the DAX. I'm going to take the draw off here. To go back to the DAX, you know, it looks a lot more like the DAX in regards to when the DAX broke out, it sort of came back and pulled back, just like what this is doing, but then saw broader continuation. And we've got this ahead, this kind of a journey ahead of us. I think that's economically signaled, and also technically, and certainly when you look at the altcoin sector, it very much confirms it. So I wanted to do this video not only to cover the news like we do on a daily basis, but to also kind of normalize and conceptualize what we're seeing with the altcoin sector right now, and just to say it's okay, this is normal. And that's why people don't typically make that much money in the crypto space, is because they can't endure that. My aims as an investor in crypto, and this is just my own aims and what I do, is I try and invest for that broader uptrend, the big multiples that this space has to offer, and try and get the timing of the trends right. Are we in a bull market? Are we in a bear market? Or what phase of a market are we in? Have we just gone through an accumulative period of phase one? Are we now in phase two? Do we have that broad uptrend ahead of us? Which I think we do, broadly. I want to be in for that. I want to be out for the downside. And people that are saying this market's over, I think it just comes from a lack of kind of an understanding of it. The frustration is warranted. Certainly if you're new to this space, even I'm frustrated myself with the kind of price action, because it's, you know, I do this every single day. It can get a little bit tiresome. But things that are good typically don't come too easy. And that's an important thing to remember. And actually, when you look at the bigger picture, which is solely really what we're focused on, it's a great time we've got ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. I truly do believe that, not just technically as that signaled, but also fundamentally all the things that are yet to take place, like the actual embracing, usage, and utility of this technology. That is all still to come. Not to mention the kind of financialization, the productization of it. Over 60 ETFs now filed since the start of the year. Hang in there, guys. You've obviously got to make your own decisions, but I'm long and strong, and ultimately think, you know, there's real bright days ahead of us. And I know some people are perhaps sick of hearing that, but some people also need to hear that. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Always an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in tomorrow's daily market update. And that's it from me. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I'll see you all in the next one.